About 20 years ago, in early 1997, a man named Charles Moore was sailing home across the North Pacific Ocean. He had finished a sailing race and was heading back from Hawaii to Santa Barbara, California. Rather than taking the usual route, he had decided to take a 1,000-mile shortcut through a high-pressure area in the central Pacific Ocean, where few people had ever gone. What he found in this wild, lonely area was trash, miles and miles of plastic waste. As he reported, in the week it took to cross the subtropical high, no matter what time of day I looked, plastic debris was floating everywhere. Bottles, bottle caps, wrappers, parts of TVs, volleyballs, truck tires. Based on what he had found, he calculated the total weight of the trash to be about 3 million tons. The area Moore had discovered is now called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, or GPGP. It stretches from the coastal waters of California to the shores of Japan. It is growing so quickly that, according to Jacqueline McGlade, a scientist from the UN Environment Program, it is beginning to be seen from outer space, like the Great Wall of China. Now, it's important to understand that the oceans of the world flow in a series of circles thousands of miles wide due to wind patterns, as well as the rotation of the planet. The GPGP lies in the center of one of the largest circles. Currents from 4 different corners of the world circle around this area. Waste is pulled into the center, which is relatively calm. Now, you might sometimes ask yourself, how can what I do really affect the environment? Do the actions of one person really impact the world? Well, let's consider this. One person throws a plastic water bottle into the ocean near Los Angeles, for example. The California current catches that bottle and carries it south toward Mexico. There, another current, the North Equatorial Current, carries it all the way across the vast Pacific Ocean to the shores of Japan. The currents circling around the Great Pacific Garbage Patch then gradually draw the bottle into the center where it is trapped. Now, the problem with plastic is that it does not biodegrade. It is not natural. It is man-made. Instead of breaking down into elements like carbon and oxygen that living beings can use, a plastic water bottle will eventually break down into smaller pieces, owing to the forces of wind and water and sunlight, but those pieces will always be plastic. Plastic survives. And this is one of the biggest problems with this sea of plastic known as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. The plastic waste is breaking down into tiny pieces, full of toxic chemicals that marine animals are eating. Birds see these bits of plastic and think they are fish eggs, and they eat them or feed them to their young, who then die from starvation. These tiny bits of plastic form larger masses that all kinds of marine life, seals and turtles and fish, for example, swim into and become trapped and die. There really is no way for these animals to adapt to changes like these in their environment. So what can we do to solve this problem? How can we clean up the GPGP? One promising idea is to use a series of connected platforms to collect the waste. The platforms could be made of wood or, better yet, metal. The ocean's own currents should push the waste toward these platforms where it can be extracted and recycled. If this idea worked, something exciting would occur. The whole area could be cleaned within 5 years and possibly even at a profit. Let's look more closely now at this idea.